So when we talk of breaking boundaries, I know a lot of the words that you hear, inspiring people to go and break boundaries in their life, in their personal life, in their work life, in their careers. Terms like excellence, passion, commitment, hard work, perseverance. If you have these qualities, you will be able to break boundaries, right? This is what you hear usually, right? So my understanding is actually slightly different. While all of this is true, when I think of breaking boundaries in my life, whatever I've achieved, wherever I am today, I actually think of a lot of words that are not as positive. So, for example, one such word that I think of is curiosity. You guys know what curiosity means? Curiosity is the desire to know more, to learn more, to progress more, to never settle with what you have today and go for something better. According to me, that's one of the qualities that you need if you need to break boundaries. What's the other quality that I think you need? It's craziness. You have to be crazy. If you have to break boundaries, you cannot follow the norms. You have to be outside of the norms. So, madness or craziness is another quality, according to me, that's going to help you break boundaries. That has helped me break boundaries. Another, quality is to be able to live with chaos, embrace chaos. All of you understand the term chaos, right? So my life has been nothing but chaos. And I tend to thrive in chaos. And I believe that anyone who needs to truly break boundaries in their lives will need to thrive under chaos. And the last thing is rejection. People are going to make fun of you because when you dream big, when you think different, when you go different, when you're curious more than others, when you're mad more than others, people are going to come to you and they're going to make fun of you. They're going to reject you. So rejection. And these are the four attributes that I'm going to talk about today as I share my journey with all of you. So now picture this. There is a guy, I'm talking about 21 years ago, here in Karachi in a university called CBM. He's in his fourth semester right now. He's an incredible student in the first 2 years. He has a 4 GPA, merit scholarship holder. Everything is perfect. But he decides to actually go and find a job, a sales job, an ad sales job in a magazine. And now his life from this point onward is all chaos. Obviously, he ends up losing his GPA. But what he does is that he's running between classes and meetings and work meetings. There are times then when he's coming into the university 3 times in a day. And the university is actually very far because it's in Korangi. While everyone else, all of his friends, are doing things the right way. What is the right way? You should be able to, pursue your university. You have an average week of life in the university. You have friends, you have a schedule, you have classes to attend. Whereas this guy is basically running around, sometimes getting his friends to do an attendance on his behalf. Sometimes, there is a friend who's helpful who's going to share some notes with him. But absolutely everything about how he's pursuing his education for the last 2 years in his bachelor's is incredible chaos. It is madness. And everyone makes fun of him. But what happens? When he completes his graduation, the same people who were making fun of him, they actually come and join an organization as a management trainee where he is their manager. Right? Any guesses on who this guy is? It's an easy one. I'm talking about myself. So yes, my university was chaos. And moving on, so I've talked about the 4 qualities. You can see them on the slide here. This is, according to me, your recipe to break boundaries. But what happens next? So now, obviously, he has an early start. I have an early start to my career. I'm doing well compared to my peers and my friends who are graduating at the same time. But then this attribute of being curious, this attribute of never settling, this attribute of being crazy, wanting more, desiring more, what that does to me is that while others are looking for stable jobs in large organizations, I'm switching my job every 6 to 12 months to the extent that everyone within my peers, my networks, my seniors had said that this guy is going to fail because he doesn't settle anywhere. Why is he changing his job every 6 to 12 months, you know? Some of my friends make fun of me because they've got like 20 visiting cards of mine, you know? In like 6 years, they've got 20 visiting cards and they're like, dude, what's wrong with you? And what was wrong with me was that I would not settle because I had, you know, that ambition of going beyond what others would achieve. Um, and I had this capability to be able to accept, accept chaos, this capability to be able to accept my dreams. And even if people were making fun of me, that was fine. So again, now moving on, when it comes to starting my company, you know, I think when I was introduced, there was a conversation about what I do. I don't want to take the name because that's against the format on TEDx. So this brand that I'm trying to build, it is going to compete against the OTT giants in the world. And that in itself is a very ambitious ask. That's a very mad dream to start with, you know. You need to be ready for a lot of chaos if you're hooking yourself up to something like that. And that's exactly what I did. And for the past 3.5, 4 years. And even if I go before that, so when I quit my job in 2021 to start this brand, I was the chief marketing officer of one of the largest conglomerates in the UAE, which is a group called Gargash. They've got like 33 plus brands. The likes of brands such as Mercedes-Benz, I was managing, I was the CMO. I was literally at the peak of my career. People would kill to get a job like that, you know. And at that point in time, because of my personality traits, which would never settle, I decided to quit and I decided to jump into something which was completely unknown. There was a vision and an idea. At that point in time, I didn't have any investors. My dream was so big that I actually needed to raise at least around $200 million over the course of this business in order to make this big enough to compete with the giants that we're talking about, because there is a global, there's a global ambition here. And who is this guy? I'm talking about myself. I'm not a Stanford graduate. I haven't graduated from MIT. All of my schooling and college was from Pakistan, Islamabad and Karachi. I don't come from a tech background. And for someone like that to dream so big, there was only one quality that was needed. It was to be crazy, to be able to accept the chaos that is going to come with all of this. And let's not even talk about, what this chaos does to your personal life. Because when you are ambitious, when you're looking to achieve more than what others are going to do around you, that means you will have to sacrifice in your personal life. There's a lot of sacrifices that you will have to make. There is no such thing, in my books, this myth about work and life balance is a myth. It's wrong. There's no such thing as work-life balance. If you really want to break boundaries, work and life are not separate. Work is your life. And everything around your life other than work needs to adjust into your work. And that's exactly how my life has been for the past 23 years now. I've been working for 23 years. And more so as an entrepreneur, more so as someone who's trying to build my own brand and my own company. There is a lot of chaos. I feel ashamed in front of my loved ones because I'm not giving them the kind of attention that I should. And there's a lot of things that I do which are not following the recipe, which are not following the norms. So now this brings me to the question that what exactly are the kind of boundaries that exist around us? And the biggest thing, given my example, the biggest thing I can think of is following norms. The biggest boundary that we have in our head is that we have to follow the norms. We have to follow what's right. One thing that some of you might have heard is that good is one of the greatest enemies of great. Anyone has heard that? So, complacency. Good is complacent. And norms lead you to complacency. Norms will lead you to having aspirations which are just good, which means that you will never go towards becoming great. And if you have to become great, you have to first cancel out the good. That, according to me, is one of the biggest boundaries that exist. Secondly, there's a big boundary that exists is being socially acceptable. Because this, again, our belief that we want to be socially acceptable is going to restrict our ambitions, is going to restrict our achievements in life. And that's what we need to move away from. So one thing I want to end with is embracing failure. Because there's a famous saying that success has many fathers, whereas failure is an orphan. My version of that is success has many fathers, but failure has only one. If you are to be successful in life, if you are to break boundaries, one of the first things you need to do is you need to be able to embrace failure. You need to accept that failure is yours, and you need to have a heart big enough to be able to share success with others. So if you're successful, if you do something right, you need to be, as a leader, you need to be able to share that success with everyone around you, with your team members, with your mentors, with your investors, with your board members. Whereas if something goes wrong, if there is a failure, you need to be able to accept that the failure is yours. And that quality for me has done wonders, because every time I jump into something where there is a risk, I have already embraced the failure that is going to come with it, which means that the success, when it comes, it's so sweet and it's so unexpected that I'm able to share the success with everyone around me. So yes, this is primarily what I wanted to leave you with. Before I end, I do want to also talk about being good, because one way of looking at my talk is that you need to be cutthroat in life. I simply don't believe so. I believe that good things ultimately do happen to good people. So remember, while you're on this struggle of trying to break boundaries, while trying to become an overachiever in your life, you have to also be a good human being. And I think good human beings who respect their elders, people who are going to be kind to humans around them, people who are going to be good leaders, who are going to truly care about the team that works for them, they will always thrive. So remember to be good as well. So that's it from my side. Thank you.